First things first, I just want to say thank you to Shang-Chi, because if Shang-Chi wasn't such a big box office success, then we would not be here talking about Venom Let There Be Carnage, because it would have been delayed until, like, January or something. So, thanks.
Hello, Adam Ryan Donato.
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 Hello, Adam Ryan Donaldo.
Hello, Adam Ryan Donato.
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 Hello, we are here to talk about the sequel to 2018's Venom, Venom Let There Be Carnage. Here we are paired up with Eddie Brock and Venom once again as they deal with their personal relationship issues, all the while having to fight the crazy serial killer known as Cletus Cassidy, who becomes Carnage. So I recently did a review of 2018's Venom. Just to recap that very quickly, I think there's a lot of good ideas. I really like when Venom is on screen. I don't care for any character individually. I like when Eddie and Venom are talking with each other and having conversations. I like their relationship dynamic. I think that's really great. But I hate Eddie Brock. I hate Venom. I hate Michelle Williams as Annie. I don't really care for Riz Ahmed as Riot. Coming into the sequel here, I had a large amount of optimism because I was hoping for a rated R rating for the movie, but alas, we are yet stuck with a PG-13 rating, which after watching the movie on opening day, it's very clear to see why Sony didn't want to do that. There were so many kids in that theater. Yes, it's a movie about a psychopath serial killer, and the main character is someone who likes eating heads. Still, we gotta remember at the end of the day, this is primarily a Spider-Man villain. And who is Spider-Man if not a kid's character? Oh well. So we have everyone's back. We have Tom Hardy, Michelle Williams. This time we have Woody Harrelson as Cletus Cassidy. We also have Naomi Harris as Shriek. And we also have Stephen Graham as Captain Mulligan, who is the lead detective on all of the cases that are going on, who's actually surprisingly a very integral character to this story. So first, overall thoughts, I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a vast improvement over the original. I think now that we were able to get past the origin story and why everyone is here and who everyone is, I think now just getting to focus on developing that relationship between Eddie and Venom and seeing all their relationship problems, which that's really the strongest part of this movie, is their relationship dynamic. Seeing them fight over things and how they need each other, how they interact, is the most compelling part about this movie. It works on every single level. It's the funniest thing in the movie. It's also the most emotional thing in the movie. It's extremely compelling. Obviously, we have a lot of Tom Hardy speaking to the symbiote in his head. We have more of the puppet thing, like him coming out of his back and talking to him like that. Like, we see Venom, and we hear Tom Hardy's voice on the inside as he's talking to Venom, but we're watching Venom rumble around the apartment as he's angrily talking about how he feels held back. I think Tom Hardy's performance in this one is a lot better. I think a lot more of his jokes land, whereas in the first movie, I didn't really feel that way. This movie's very funny. It's extremely funny. It's so much funnier than the first movie. I attribute that to Andy Serkis, who I think has a really good sense of humor. I also think that they were more comfortable with this relationship. We get to see a lot more of Venom in the movie, which was a big complaint of mine from the first one. I don't even just see him be in action scenes. I just like seeing him be there. Like, there's a large sequence in the movie where Eddie and Venom break up, and we see Venom go from person to person as he's lamenting the loss of the breakup that he just had, and he goes to a rave and everything, and he gives a speech there, which is actually one of my favorite parts of the movie, because it's very clear how he's so upset over losing Eddie, and you see his insecurities and his vulnerabilities, and I'm like, oh wow, you're like a character now. So love Tom Hardy and Venom, both great, very fleshed out. I love how their arc was resolved, how they had to come together in the end. They need each other to succeed in the end. I thought that was very sweet. Like, emotionally, that landed for me. at the end when they're like, oh, well, see, they're not actually, like, connected. See, we are connected because we are a perfect match. And then seeing them on the beach at the end, I'm like, I buy you guys as a pairing, as a couple. I think you guys work together. I think you guys fit. And that's the most important aspect of the movie to get right, and they succeeded. So, honestly, already you have a significantly much better movie than the first one. One of the things I was really worried about with this movie was Michelle Williams. She's prominently placed in the center of the poster. I didn't really want to see her in this movie because I felt like, oh, I'm more invested in the relationship between Tom Hardy and the symbiote. I don't really need to see him and his ex-girlfriend who he was going to marry, but now she's with some other guy. In this movie, it's played up a lot more for laughs. It's funny seeing their interactions together because you're hearing Venom argue with Eddie Brock while he's having a conversation with Annie. That's very funny. That being said, none of the emotional weight of anything that involves Annie works for me in any way, shape, or form. Especially at the end of the movie when she just turns into the damsel in distress and it's like, oh, she's in the box and you gotta go save her, and no, I really need to save the day because not only is Carnage an awful person, he's gonna kill a whole bunch of people, but my girlfriend's in that box. Actually, a big thing that I need to bring up when it comes to Michelle Williams in this movie is we get to see Lady Venom again. Yeah, you're damn right we do. The weird thing about it, though, is she looks very different than she did in the first movie. I'm confident in saying that. In the first one, she looked very, like, curvy. In this one, she just seems like a skinny dude. It's just interesting to see that stark difference. Like, if you would have made her look exactly the same in the first one, I would have just been like, ah, Lady Venom again. But this time I'm like, ah, Lady Venom again. And she looks different? What? Why? And it makes me realize, oh, they noticed. They noticed that that was a weird thing and they played it down. Now I'm thinking about Sony's mindset in making this movie, and I'm not thinking about the movie in general, and that's kind of a problem because I don't really trust Sony as a studio when it comes to making a movie, a big franchise movie like this. Very often when decisions are made, I'm not thinking about it from a script writing standpoint or from a creative standpoint in any way, shape, or form. I'm thinking about it from a studio marketability standpoint. I'm like, people noticed that in the first one for sure, so we don't really want them to notice that again. It's also weird at the beginning of the movie because Annie calls Eddie to have a sit down in person to talk to him about something. It's clear that Eddie and Venom think that she's going to tell him that she broke up with Dan. They're very excited to go see her, but it turns out she got engaged. She has a ring on her finger, which was kind of frustrating in a scene. It was funny because it's funny seeing him try to be cool with it when he's clearly not, but it's also annoying because I get you're trying to be a nice person. Like, I get you care about him and you know that he's still in love with you. You were trying to be nice by telling him in person and letting him down easy, but I don't really think you're doing him any favors. It's unhealthy for you and for him to be having this sit down in the first place. I think it'd be so much better if you just parted ways because you don't need to be in each other's lives anymore. You broke up. Surprisingly, one of my favorite aspects of the movie was Cletus Cassidy, played by Woody Harrelson, Carnage. I really thought that was really well handled. Every scene with Carnage on screen is visually interesting. He's genuinely terrifying. I know very well who Cletus Cassidy is, why he's doing what he's doing, even though he's like a psychopathic killer and he just kills people. But I understand him. I get his backstory. I really like the drawings and how that was showing his upbringing. But at the end of the movie, when they're having this big final showdown, hey Marvel, take notes. I feel like there's something personal going on in this fight. I don't feel like it's just the good guy fighting the bad guy because you need to beat the bad guy because the bad guy's going to do bad things. I feel the emotion behind this scene because you can tell that Cletus genuinely hates Eddie, and it's personal. So I feel the weight of that battle, and I care about the outcome more so than just good versus evil, because I know the two people who are in the fight. I understand why they're fighting. I understand the motivation. I'm into it. I'm here. I'm ready. What's going to happen? And while I'm speaking about the third act of the movie, I loved the final climactic battle in the church. I thought that was absolutely beautiful. I love how it progresses throughout with the bell, and they go outside, and how Shriek is involved with the battle. All the moving parts all together with all the captive people involved. I just thought it was really well done, which is refreshing. Let's take the last two Marvel movies, Black Widow and Shang-Chi. Both of them, I feel like the third act is the weakest act, because I'm just like, oh, well, the good guy's gotta fight the bad guy, because that's what's gotta happen in a movie. But here I actually felt the weight of it. Kudos to Venom Let There Be Carnage. This is one of the riskier things of the movie. Woody Harrelson looked ridiculous, and I kind of buy it. It kind of adds to how scary he is in this movie. I'm legitimately terrified of Woody Harrelson. I legitimately feel for Woody Harrelson. I was very invested in this character. And one of my favorite superhero movie villains, and oh gosh, quite a bit. Jeez. I like Shriek in this movie. I thought she was scary. I also liked her relationship with Cletus Cassidy, and then her relationship with Carnage, because those are two different things. Also, in the climactic battle, it's personal between her and the detective, because the detective shot her. It's also personal because they have Michelle Williams there. Every single person involved has a direct person that they specifically are mad at, and they have that personal connection between, just makes everything matter so much more. I think Andy Serkis did a fantastic job. This movie is wildly funnier than the first movie. This movie is wildly more action-oriented, and the action's a lot cooler because instead of just watching a guy on a motorcycle or a guy in a fist fight, I'm actually watching the symbiotes in action. This movie succeeds over the original in every single way, shape, and form. It is a triumph in perspective of what we're talking about here, because spoiler alert, I'm giving this movie a 4 out of 5. I think it rises above just an enjoyable movie. I think it really excelled in a lot of areas. I really like that final moment between Cletus Cassidy and Eddie Brock where he's like, I just wanted a friend. Because I wanted someone to care about me and my side of the story and listen to what I had to say, which also connects to Eddie's relationship with Venom, because if he would have just listened to Venom and started to actually care about his wants and needs, then they wouldn't have had the breakup. This movie works so well. So obnoxiously well. I'm kind of surprised that it's gone down to have negative reviews. It was at a 69% nice, and then it went down to a 59%. I haven't looked at it recently. I'll go check right now. It's up to a 60% from critics, making it barely fresh, and an 86% from audiences, which makes a lot of sense, because this is definitely a bigger crowd pleaser than it is a movie that stands up under critical analysis. What's holding back this movie from being a 5-star movie to me is the PG-13 rating. I wish we got to lean into the hard R rating and actually got to really dive into what the movie's about. It's about a serial killer, a crazy serial killer who really thoroughly enjoys killing people. And our main character just wants to eat people's brains. Like, come on. I don't know. It just feels like it's being held back still. Also, ironically, I was excited about the 97-minute runtime, and then I found myself wishing that it was longer just so I could see more of it. Because I really like this movie. Actually, the more I talk about it, the more I find myself really enjoying this movie. It's a definitive 4 out of 5 for me for now. I can't wait till I get the Blu-ray. I think this is certainly a win for Venom and for Sony and for Andy Serkis and for Tom Hardy. I think everyone should be really proud of this movie. I would recommend this to most anybody, even if you have kids. Because apparently this is a movie for kids. I mean, sure, know your kids, because I could see children being terrified of a lot of things in this movie, most of this movie. A lot of the humor is very crude, so I'm not sure you really want your kids seeing this. I don't have kids, so who cares? One thing I really did want to get into was the mid-credits scene. So as we know, the movie ends with Eddie and Venom on a beach somewhere telling each other about how much they love each other, which was adorable, by the way. I absolutely melted at that part. They're chilling at nighttime in the bed. Eddie is talking to Venom, and Venom's bragging about, oh, well, the symbiotes have been around for a really long time. We've seen so many awesome, cool things, and you wouldn't even believe. Here, actually, I'll give you a glimpse of it. Then we see the TV start to glitch. Suddenly, poof, it's daytime. Eddie is now on the ground. The room seems new. There's a swan, a towel folded up into a swan. And it's clear that this isn't his room. I still don't really know what happened here. I don't know if it was the blip. I don't know if he just switched universes. Something happened with the multiverse or something. I really don't care. As I said, it obviously connects to the MCU because I brought up the blip. On the TV, we see J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson doing his little TV show, and he announces that Peter Parker's revealed to be Spider-Man. Venom walks up to the screen. He's like, oh, this guy, and he like licks the screen. Everyone in the theater, started clapping and shit. Which, fine, I know you're happy that you're finally getting to see Venom interact with Spider-Man in some kind of way. I'm sure you're happy to find out that this character in this movie that you liked is now connected to other characters in other movies that you like, and that's great. I'm really happy that you're excited about that, but here's why I'm not excited about that. The context isn't there. I established in the first review that I did for Venom that making a Venom movie without establishing Spider-Man is kind of like putting the cart before the horse. Because in the story, as it traditionally goes, symbiote comes down, goes to Spider-Man first, we have Black Suit Spider-Man, and then he rips it off, and then it goes to Brock, and now Brock has it. And that's why shoots webs and shit. and Brock has the specific vendetta against Spider-Man. There's a personal connection here. Here, I don't have any of that. Eddie Brock has no idea who Peter Parker is. There's been no mention of Spider-Man whatsoever. So at the end of the movie, when he's looking at the screen, he's like, oh yeah, this guy. And he like gets excited about it and licks it. I'm like, why? Why? It could have just as easily been Black Panther on the screen. He's like, oh, why does Spider-Man pique your interest? Why? I guess the only thing that does make sense is if he did teleport to a different multiverse. Because then, oh, there is another superpowered person out there. So that does make me interested. Oh, this is a bad guy? Oh, that gets me excited because my job is to be a protector and to fight bad guys. So if everyone thinks that Spider-Man's a bad guy, then I'm going to go attack Spider-Man. But if I didn't have the knowledge that in the comics that Venom is an arch nemesis of Spider-Man, then this moment means nothing to me. The comics aren't canon for this. The first movie is, and nothing else. We have the first movie and this movie. Nothing presented in that 3 hours total of movie gives me any reason to believe that I should care at all about the relationship between Venom and Spider-Man, or Eddie Brock and Peter Parker. Nothing whatsoever. I think it would be extremely weird to see Tom Hardy interact with Tom Holland. I know that one of the reasons I said in my Venom review that, oh, maybe they made Venom PG-13 so that he could more seamlessly blend with the tone of the Tom Holland movie so they could eventually link those up. But that's also annoying because still, the Venom universe, yes, it's extremely silly at parts, but it's also super dark, and I still feel like that doesn't really jive with the whole John Hughesy teen comedy vibe that I get with the Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland. No, I'm not excited about this. And actually going forward, I'm really not excited at all. I think this is the peak. I don't think the next one's going to get better. I don't want to see Venom in Spider-Man No Way Home. I don't want to see Spider-Man in the third Venom movie because it's just going to feel cheap. It's just going to be predicated on the concept that Venom is an arch nemesis of Spider-Man. And they're not going to really develop that relationship very much at all because they assume, oh, well, yeah, obviously they don't like each other because you know the comics, right? No, I don't, because I just watched this movie. The comics don't really matter when we're talking about the Venom movies. It's just frustrating because I'm not going to sit here and clap like a fucking idiot when what you're doing makes no sense. I'm not happy with seeing Spider-Man show up in the Venom universe or vice versa. I'm not going to be happy about that if it doesn't make sense. If you just did it just because it feels like they did it just because. It doesn't feel like a natural progression in the story whatsoever. The thing that does make me excited for the sequel, that does feel like a natural progression, is the detective. His eyes light up at the end, and it's very clear that he's going to come back in the next one and be involved in some way, shape, or form. And that's exciting because he has a personal connection with Tom Hardy. They developed that relationship very well. So if he comes back and he's some kind of a villain, then great. I have it built up. They don't like each other. And here's why. Here's examples of why. I've seen with my own two eyes why. I don't just inherently know because of comic books that I read when I was 5 years old. I know I just went on this big dumb rant about the mid-credits scene, but realistically, that's not even a part of the movie. The movie itself, for what it is a triumph. It really is great. It's funny. The action's great. The characters are well developed. The relationships are compelling. The ending feels climactic in the best way possible. I fully recommend this movie. 4 out of 5 stars. I'm so happy this movie exists. I'm so happy that it was as good as it is. I'm so excited to see what Andy Serkis does next because I think he's a very competent director. If I had to rank Venom Let There Be Carnage in the Spider-Man movie rankings, including Venom, obviously it's better than Venom. Obviously it's better than Amazing Spider-Man 2. I think it's better than The Amazing Spider-Man. I also want to say that I like it more than Far From Home. It's close. For me, Spider-Man 3 is a personal favorite. If we were doing tiers, they would all be in that same tier. Homecoming, Far From Home, Spider-Man 3, and Venom Let There Be Carnage are all right around there. Probably Homecoming on the high end, along with Spider-Man 3, and then on the low end we got Far From Home and Venom Let There Be Carnage. If you had to ask me right now, I like Venom Let There Be Carnage more than Spider-Man Far From Home. Thank you guys so much for listening to me rant about Venom Let There Be Carnage. I'm excited to review the other Spider-Man movies going forward here before Spider-Man No Way Home comes out. Thank you guys so much, and keep loving movies, guys.